What's up, Rockstars? I have the largest news video I have ever done. A massive 30 plus TTRPGs, tabletop role-playing games. There's a lot on offer right now. A huge amounts, several of them, well over $1 million in funding. There's some big name things that you're going to want to know about because if nothing else, thousands of players are about to experience them. Okay, so I've organized this one a bit different than last time. I will link to last week's video. I do this every week for you guys in the description below, along with links to everything else. And if you appreciate the links and the research, a thumbs up helps a ton. Thank you so much. I'm going to organize this one from least funded to most funded, ending on things that are coming up in like the next week or so. So it's going to be a huge thing, right? Where we're going to go from highlighting the indies to covering the mega ones, all right? So that's kind of the gauge we're doing here. Sometimes there's a little update, sometimes there's a big one. So let's start out with Grab and Go Legendary Hunts. This is $1,155 pledged. That is fully funded. It only asked for $296, and it has Legendary Hunts. It's exactly what it says. Each creature's lore is crafted to inspire dungeon masters and ignite the imaginations of players. Dive into ancient mythologies, long-forgotten prophecies, and tales of heroic encounters. Unearth the secrets of their lairs, understand their motivations, and immerse yourself in the world-shaping events they influence. These are big legendary hunts, right? Big things here. Each creature is not just a monster to be slain, but a living, breathing entity that will challenge your players morally, emotionally, and strategically. So they do have free sample copies, so feel free to check that out. There's a link right there to it. You can go ahead and get a Google Drive version of it. They also have a whole bunch of characters. In fact, they have 200 plus pages that break down 10 characters of each of the following categories. So each one of these has 10. Royalty, merchants, retired adventurers, warriors, criminals, commoners, and villains. Then they also have towns and cities available. Though it has 10 towns and cities featured here, like all of these. I'm not going to mention them all and what they are, but a wide variety of them. If you look, you're going to pay $15 for the PDF, or about $42 for the whole thing in PDF. There is no print version here. If you wanted to print it, you could probably do a print on demand thing. Often that's the case, but for this one, it's just digital only, so that's why they didn't need too much funding, and while they're still doing fine at $1,155. And again, this is linked down in the description below. All right, next up we have a poison deck. This is something that just enhances the gameplay. It's nice to be able to hand out cards and stuff like that, or just use them to organize information. So this one has right here, the main goal of this project is to add variety by focusing on what player characters feel when they are afflicted by certain poisons. You'll find poisons that cause blood coagulation, difficulty breathing, or even drying of the skin to the point where it begins to flake off. All of that to spur players to find an antidote or craft an antitoxin as quickly as possible. You also find special potions that can weaken creatures such as golems and elementals. There are 48 cards in total, 24 unique poisons and 24 unique antidotes. And you can incorporate this into your game, essentially, is how they're using this. And I think the really interesting thing here is the focus on how the characters feel. In other words, suddenly they're not able to act in ways that they normally would because of these conditions. If you want, you can get the PDF for literally $2. $2 gets the PDF. There's almost no excuse not to do that. And as you can see, 233 people have already done so. Otherwise, they have the actual whole collection thing where you get NPCs and locations. Some of their older stuff that they've done, you can get that as well, and then a few other things. But yeah, seriously, it's $2, guys. $2. Next up, we have Mimics of Malice and Mayhem Volume 1 at 2,404 raised, 77 backers. This is just taking Mimics up to like a higher level. Each Mimic card will introduce creature backgrounds, personalities, and traits and plot hooks to help you and your players contend with these malicious creatures. So it's just really fleshing out a more unique style of mimics. Not all of them are actually wanting to like attack you and stuff. Sometimes they're just wanting to be left alone. They also have rules around like using them as like mounts sometimes and pets and a variety of other circumstances. So again, this is just to help do that. And if you're looking here, the digital only $15. Otherwise, for the early bird special, which is a quantity, so there's still 51 left available, $15 will actually get you the physical copies. And then you can get the physical copy plus stickers for 20, stuff like that. And you can keep enhancing it with little doodads and whatnot. Next up, we have at 3,902, 174 backers, Adventures of Ingstead. This is 5 epic one-shots, all original content, all 5e working around this like island, I believe, of Ingstead or whatever. So it says here, we aim to offer you top-notch one-shots with a unique theme, ensuring minimal GM preparation, and the gameplay can be completed in a single sitting. Each following adventure can be enjoyed on its own or as a standalone one-shot, but this Shades of Creation is kind of the first one you play to kind of set the stage so people understand the world that you're in and stuff, and then you can do all these one-shots or incorporate them in or do whatever you want there. Of course, they have a whole bunch of stuff like battle maps, comprehensive GM guides, plenty of read-out-loud sections, hooks, GM tips, timeline and estimates, background stories, encounters, loots, and treasure traps, monster appendix, and an NPC appendix. In other words, anything you would need to run this. So you can just take this and go. They have some odd things like a secret potato fight club, but then they also have more normal things like having to go down into the darkness and a raid and stuff like that. So all of that kind of thing there. If you get the night pledge for $5, that gives you that first one shot for in PDF. They kind of like piecemeal these one shots. So if it's at 8, you get the normal one plus an additional one that you want, whichever one that is. If you do 11, then you get 2 different additional ones and so on and so forth. What you're looking for here is the Emperor will receive all of them. That's the one that's kind of the big thing. If you do Avatar, you get again some doodads and whatnot. You can get yourself put in the art, stuff like that. All right, next up we have Delver 10, old school RPG resource for GMs and players at 6,000. Oh, just went up 7,042, 287 backers, and 10 days left to go. This is essentially a magazine. Kind of like how they used to do it. Of course, there's a digital version of it. This is the 10th issue. Delver Magazine is a third-party resource for GMs and players of OSR fantasy RPGs such as Old School Essentials, Shadow Dark, Swords and Sorcery, and Basic Fantasy RPGs. So if you are into all that, then that's something there for you. OSR Games offers a fantasy role-playing game experience to players looking for a return to the style and feel of classic dungeon crawling. It includes adventures, articles, random tables, new magic items, and much more, and also will be useful to GMs and players alike for other fantasy RPGs, where often you can just take it directly piecemeal, put it into something like D&D 5th edition, or just change a few things here and there. The primary feature of Delver Magazine are the random charts and tables. Each issue will contain pages and pages of random charts that can be used before or during a session. Each page has a theme or subject, typically with 4 or 6 tables that pertain to the topic. For instance, in the second one, they had a What's in That Cube, where they do a whole bunch of stuff around contents and the gelatinous cube that's wandering around. The secondary feature of each issue is the ready-to-go adventure, complete with maps, room descriptions, random encounters, and more. The adventure in Delver number 10 is designed for 4 to 8 characters of level 7 to 8 or higher. So it comes with tables, comes with an adventure, and then some GM stuff as well. The current article for Delver number 10 is titled No Stress Sandbox, and will cover thoughts on how GMs can relieve themselves of the burden of planning out a session by going random and allowing the players to control the story. So you can get back, you can get back issues, you can get their dungeon depths add-on and stuff like that. But either way, it's just kind of this magazine you can get and help support. It's all printed on demand. Super duper cool. If you look at the price here, the PDF is $7, and you can get some of the older ones as well. If you want the print one, it's about $11. So not too bad at all. All right, next up we have You Carry the Fire, an original Shadow Dark adventure at 8,800 raised, 316 backers. You Carry the Fire is an all-new zero-level dungeon for the Shadow Dark RPG, a mashup of a sci-fi horror from Pitch Black and old-school dungeon crawling. The survival horror adventure is about one thing: staying in the light for as long as you can. Faced with limited resources and torchlight that fades in real time, players will crawl through a dungeon overrun with horrors that hate the light and eat you in the dark. The book is filled with strange, unique monsters, memorable new magic items, and tips to help you run an adventure where the darkness tries to kill you. So the book contains over 100 pages of old school survival horror, a 40-page dungeon alone, a bestiary, old school intelligent design, a dungeon dripping with history, a survival horror experience, and involving narrative tables and tables and tables, a GM's guide, original art, and design. So it essentially is covering a neat rule set where your every 60 minutes is how long like the torch lasts, and essentially you have to kind of rush and do things while you have the light or somehow extend it and stuff like that. But it's very focused on that light being there. Otherwise, game over. That's the sense that I get from this. If you look at the prices here, the digital edition's $10, and you can get a soft cover edition for $20. That's kind of cool. You can still get a cheaper version of that. Now, this is actually still for print on demand, which would be separate. So you'll do that through Drive-Thru RPG. It's kind of interesting to me that they're charging you more for essentially to go get it printed. Kind of a weird way to do that, I suppose. But they do have to format it in a certain way to be able to be printed softcover or hardcover, something like that. So $30 for the hardcover. And as you can see, that's where most people are. May as well, for $30, that's a pretty good deal. But again, you still have to pay that print on demand, but it's like at cost. All right, next up we have Rig, a single-player Souls-like mech RPG at $9,153 raised. Sorry, $9,242 raised, 560 backers, and 7 days still to go. So this is kind of interesting. Rig is a single-player Souls-like. If you don't know what Souls-like is, it's like Dark Souls, which is a video game series where essentially you're thrust into a world that's kind of grim. Half the time you're either recently dead or are dead or soulless or whatever, and you can just kind of experience the world, and it's gritty and it's difficult, and like the combat's difficult in it and stuff like that, and you learn about the world through experiencing the world. You're just going to experience stuff, and stuff's happening already, like you're just thrust into the middle of a story instead of the beginning of one. Rig is a single-player, Souls-like mech tabletop RPG. You pilot a dead core, a mech murdered, and reclaimed long ago. You'll explore a dark science fiction wonderland full of threats, lore, and survivors, fight enemy rigs, and worse, get new equipment, and collect lore that lets you piece together the history of the world. Rig uses a standard deck of playing cards to create an endless combination of battles and gradually fill in the world with more challenges, mysteries, and cards as you interpret what has happened on recombinant Earth. Rig uses the Rune RPG system made by Spencer Campbell of Gila RPG fame. In that, you'll be using some unique stuff though, like a 5x5 combat grid, and you have equipment like your left arm, left shoulder, right shoulder, legs, and of course your core and chassis. You'll be managing your heat to be able to do different things, but really it's focused on, again, solo, starting fast. Rig dumps you into the world of recombinant Earth right from the jump. Inspired by Dark Soul games, Armored Core, and stories like The Book of the New Sun, you'll get proper nouns and technobabble almost immediately. Reading becomes play as a quick tutorial sets up both the world and the game mechanics in just a few pages. Encounters are played out on a combat grid, rolling 1d6 for each threat to determine its actions and moving it. So you're kind of doing kind of the AI thing, because again, this is not, you don't need a GM essentially to run this for you. That's what those cards are for. You'll kind of like draw them, and that tells you, oh, you're going to encounter this, or you're going to encounter that. So, what do they have? They have the digital copy for $12. They have the physical magazine for $23. So, really straightforward there, and I think I appreciate that. Next up, we have Tales of the Astral Plane 5e Rules and Adventures. I covered this last time, so just noting it's now at 16,464 now, and that is about double what they had. So, like, they're doing a lot better. Of course, they're still working on some stretch goals, just as an FYI. If you want more information on this, again, my previous video, a little bit shorter than this one because it didn't cover so many, is down in the description below. All right, next up we have Ecryme, the dystopian steampunk TTRPG at 18,021 raised, 175 backers, still 36 days to go. Ecryme is the English adaptation of the celebrated French role-playing game of the same name. It introduces the players to a steampunk, post-apocalyptic world where political and social struggles mix with supernatural intrigues. The game runs on a lightweight 2d6 system that favors skill investment over luck and focuses on roleplay. Alright, so how is this game played? Ecryme uses a lightweight 2d6 rule system that uses margins of success and failure to determine the impact of characters' actions. Characters are defined by traits, skills, ideal, and spleen, more on that later, as well as their background and connections to other characters. Traits are wholly up to the player to decide for their character and are any word or phrase that focuses on their particular aspects of the character that the player wants to embody. They grant bonuses or penalties to any role that you can relate that to. Skills are the core of the system, separated into 3 distinct groups. The 15 skills help you shape what your character is generally good at, and specializations grant even more specific bonuses. Now, what's different here is the ideal and spleen represent what a character will always strive to fight for or achieve, and what they absolutely cannot stand, respectively. When each of these come up during more dramatic moments, the player will roll 3d6 and keep 2 dice, the highest 2 in the case of ideal, or the lowest 2 in the case of spleen. So other than that, you get a whole bunch of stuff here that focuses on people, their problems, and some form of social puzzle, mystery, or intrigue. So it's not like a whole lot of combat. It's more of an exploration thing here. They have the player's guide, and then they have the conductor's manual, and they have the collector's edition, which adds like a slipcase and stuff like that too. The player The digital version is $40, the printed version is $90, the collector's is $135. It's as simple as that. Really appreciate straightforward campaigns like that. All right, next up we have the Start Here role-playing game at 20,552 raised, 166 backers, and it's just what you would think it is. Start here. So if you don't want to read a whole bunch of rules, if you're just trying to get into the hobby, this is something to do here. One thing to note here is how they kind of worded this. Yes, some of the big name games have introductory sets, but what you're usually getting in those sets is just less of a complicated game. I've created a complete game that remains easy to learn as long as you play it. I think that's really important here. There's a lot of board games that I've covered that are 2 to 4 players, but the 4 players is just 2 players with less. You split it up. Kind of the same way. You're essentially getting a neutered version of the game that doesn't have all the intricacies, but is really meant for those intricacies and those other ones. And what they're saying here is this is just a streamlined set that allows you to kind of get in there. Now, streamlined is not how the campaign is broken up though, because they have beginner and experienced versions. So just know that going in, you're going to have to pick one, both, or the set of it. And it's really just saying how deep do you want to start going in here? Even then, it only goes up to experienced. And even then, it's not like super hardcore. For instance, the experienced player guide is 64 pages. So it's not like a huge tome that's 300 plus pages that you get in some of these. But yeah, you can get it printed, you can get it digital, just depends on how much you want. I'm not going to go through all of them. You can go ahead and take a look at them in the description below. Next up, we have Ekpyrosis TRPG, a stellar odyssey through time and space at 21,005 raised from 158 backers and still 8 days to go at time of recording. So what is this? It has a core rulebook, which would be over 300 pages and is fully illustrated. It takes place in like this crazy kind of sci-fi area. They'll also have a book of Paragon, which will be over 200 pages and fully illustrated. This is kind of like the main supplement to the game here. And they do have minis and a whole bunch of other stuff there. Now, sadly, it's kind of hard to get too much like really strong mechanical information here. For instance, they talk about this Pyros system, but they don't actually say how it works. So feel free to look through here and try and get some more information. But it's not exactly like but it's not exactly giving with all the rules right up front. So if we jump over to what this costs, at $49, you can get the PDF of the core rulebook plus stretch goals. And at $88, you can get as an early bird the core rulebook print and PDF, the book of Paragon print and PDF, and of course all stretch goals, all digital stretch goals. And then you can get and then you can do more and more. For instance, 117 does the Pyros Super Early Bird, where you get the core rulebook, the supplement, the Grid Game Mat, Game Master's Veil, and 4 more things there where you get like some of the minis and stuff like that too. They go over all that here. Feel free to take a look, see if it's something that interests you. They're busy unlocking stretch goals and they're doing quite well, but it is definitely a little bit pricier. All right, next up we have Micro Dungeon's second annual compendium, 23,370 raised from 338 backers, actually 23,400 raised. What is this? This is the 2023 edition. This Micro Dungeon collection contains 9 volumes of Micro Dungeons, including winter and Halloween editions, as well as the themed editions for Titan's Shipwrecks. But in addition, this printed collection will contain 5 new exclusive dungeons that have not come in previous editions. So, how does this work? Well, Micro Dungeons is a short selection of small dungeons for both new and experienced players of 5e D&D that can be played in a few hours with an old school feel. The Micro Dungeon Annual Compendium 2023 includes more than 50 dungeons and more than 50 new monster stat blocks for the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons. So it's literally just this like book that has a little layout, has some information, but you get the map, the introduction, encounters, and new monsters. That's what they include. And again, you get like 50 of them. There's a ton. And then of course you can get a GM screen and stuff like that. Now, if you look here, the dice are $20. If you want the actual book, $40. $40 gets you the whole tome. You can then start getting the 2020 or 2022 compendium as well. The legend gives you a nice slipcase cover for it and a few other things, which is cool. That's what a lot of people are going for as well. All right, next up we have the Tome of Horrors, Enemy of the Valiant, 34,265 raised, 629 backers, still 22 days to go. It says right here, a horde of over 200 monsters and NPCs, divine for Tales of the Valiant and 5th edition rules for D&D. So this massive collection of more than 200 creatures includes several thematic sections, including class-based characters or NPCs, winter holiday specials, and creatures from Tehuatal, which is a South American themed locale, along with the main volume of creatures large and small and gargantuan and ... ellipses. None of these creatures have been published in our previous Tome of Horrors collection, and all are freshly written using the most updated guidelines from the core fantasy role-playing rule set provided by Kobold Press. In other words, this is a mega tome. Look at this thing. Look at that thing. Massive. Massive. This is a huge amount of stuff here. They have some add-ons, they have some stretch goals. The main thing you're looking for here, PDF, is the $25 and it's February. So while it has some like winter stuff, you're not going to get it in time for too much of that. And then the hardcover version of it is $45. Not bad at all. That is pretty good if you ask me for so much. Next up we have Windheim and Horn of the Dawn. This is a fantasy world of Windheim and part 1 of the campaign of the Horn of Dawn, third-party supplements for Dragonbane, Drakkar Og. So if we come down here, we are publishing these supplements as part of the OGL or Open Game License that Free League generously offers the Dragonbane community. Dragonbane is the English translation of the latest edition of the role-playing game Drakkar Og, the most iconic and beloved Swedish game, first published in 1982 and coming soon in a new version by acclaimed game designer at Free League Publishing. So that's kind of what you get here. It's pretty straightforward. You get those 2 supplements. You can get the add-on access for like $1. You can get the Digital Adventurer for $18 where you get the PDFs. And if you want the actual books, you can pay for $36. So not too bad. But if you want everything from the Kickstarter, $82. Honestly, I like this. I like that it's actually cheaper. This isn't too bad at all if you're into those systems. Next up, we have Guillman's Guide to Speed. This is Everything Goes Fast. 38,572 raised from 506 backers, still 23 days to go. 250 plus pages, and as you can see, he's having the time of his life. Hopefully you will too. What is this? Well, it's Everything Fast. We've created detailed mechanics for in-game vehicle building and racing, as well as new speed-oriented classes and stuff like that. Dynamo, Siege Engineer, and all that kind of crazy stuff, where you can build this stuff, race it, explore with it, all that sort of fun stuff. It's actually pretty cool. All the creatures are really fast as well. You know, they talk about you can't kill what you can't catch and stuff. So, yeah, definitely a unique take on things, and definitely focuses more on what you would actually be doing if you had like machines that actually went fast and enemies that actually went fast. So if you want any of this, the PDF is about $30 and the hardcover plus PDF is about $60. That's really what you're looking at there. So a little bit on the pricier side, but still doing pretty good. All right, next up we have Fledge Witch, the Magical Princess of Lemuria. I'm just covering that it's 41,303. That's, again, way higher than the last time I covered it, so feel free to check out last week's video for more information on this. But essentially, this is not about saving the world or anything like that. Instead, the DM is the witch, and everybody else plays as the princess, and you have to, like, do different things to, like, appease the witch and, you know, do all these apprentice-like tasks and stuff like that. Sounds like a lot of fun. It's kid-friendly. It's definitely a unique take on it. And again, they've actually done pretty well for themselves there. All right, next up we have BBEG. That's right, Big Bad Evil Guys. At $44,158 raised from 960 backers, right at the cusp of that 1,000 backers. So doing well there. Choose from unforgettable, meticulously detailed villains, each with their own unique narratives, machinations, and challenges designed to inspire your narrative. These are not just antagonists, they are cataclysmic forces capable of reshaping entire worlds, providing high-stakes challenges that will push your heroes to their limits. So that's already really cool. And they say you get that in just a few pages, you can get a lot of that. The factions and minions, the bosses and more, BBEGs are powerful and a power structure naturally manifests around them. These descriptions describe all the important players and how they might interact with your heroes. So it's really cool to group and organize things like that. So it's a top to bottom. It's not just a smattering of enemies and bad guys and stat blocks. It actually makes sense. Like, if this is the big bad guy, this is kind of what's playing around in the world. And I think that's really cool. For the ease of using these villains in your game, various stat blocks are given for each BBEG and each boss. To help you further, there are 3 versions of each one, each at a different difficulty level or CR. Stat blocks are digital downloads accessible anytime. They are not in the physical printed book due to space, so they are only digital. So FYI, that's something that's different among a lot of others. They also do a lot of virtual tabletop stuff, so you get different tokens and stuff like that if that's what you're doing. And then you get the plot hooks and all sorts of other stuff in some of their past stuff. So anyway, PDF $14. You want the hardcover in PDF, $29. that is pretty darn good. That is cheap for, I think, what you're getting here. I think that's super cool. Next up, Perils and Princesses, a gritty and pretty fairy tale TTRPG, $55,633 raised now from 1,645 backers and only 37 hours to go. So again, everything linked down in the description below. I'm recording this and then I'll be publishing it tomorrow, today, of course. Hello, future guys. And so, yeah, it's like last 24-hour notice for you guys. This is definitely interesting in a lot of ways. These adventures rely on baskets of goodies, trusty hatches, and their hidden talents to help them on their way. The gifts from the fairy godmother help them call upon woodland animals, sing enchanted songs, or connect with the elements of nature as they dig deep to survive the pearls that await them. So, yeah, this is your fairy tale heroes, but it's still on a dungeon crawler, monster slaying adventure that you normally do, but more like Grimm's fairy tale / princess movies, so / classic storybooks. Definitely a unique take, and the art looks awesome. It does cover a streamlined system, so it's friendly for newcomers while still being rich with atmosphere for veterans looking for new worlds to explore. So it's definitely not mechanically difficult. It's very streamlined and really just giving a different air, a different feel to the tabletop experience with this kind of stuff that they have. And they have the bestiary and random tables and all that other kind of stuff, of course. So PDF, $10. Again, nice and cheap. I love that. If you want the print edition, $25, 90 pages. Though you can, of course, go for the deluxe art package and, stuff like that to really get some fancy prints and stuff, because honestly, who wouldn't want that? That's super cool. So yeah, anyway, that's that. Again, last minute notice on that. Next up, we have Defiant RPG, Reign and Legacy. So the Defiant RPG came out earlier, and now these are two major supplements that focus on two very different things. If you didn't know what Defiant is, it's essentially kind of like Vampire the Masquerade, or they say like Game of Thrones meets Lucifer, if you know the TV shows, stuff like that. Very interesting take on things where like they're like aristocrats and stuff like that. Two major supplements covering in detail two major parts of the game: supernatural politics and family life. Family life being like a house and who's the heir to it, and what does this marriage mean when this happens, and stuff like that. So very cool to see that kind of put in here for people to kind of enjoy and dive deeper into this world. I think it's really cool. If you're looking for how much it costs, the digital version, $40, so a little bit higher on this one for sure. And then if you want the complete digital, that's $59, so not actually too much more for that one. And that's for like if you actually need the Defiant stuff as well, so for newcomers. Otherwise, to get it printed for both of them, $79. So little on the pricier side, but also quite unique, I think, as well. All right, now, Ultimate Bestiary Secrets of the Fae for 5th edition, 99,405 raised. 386 raised. Again, it'll ebb and flow. 1,684 backers. This is actually literally, I think, doubled almost. I think it was like at 58,000 or something like that when I covered it just last week. So what have they been doing since then? Obviously, I covered it more on what the Bestiary is in last week's video. Again, feel free to watch every single week so you can stay up to date on this stuff. But if you look here, nothing. There is no stretch goals or anything like that. They're just doing super well. So, yeah, so 22 days to go. This is definitely probably something to check out, though, because there's a lot of other people looking for these 130 new Fae creatures for 5th edition. All right, next up we have Badge Quest RPG Campaign Book. Again, this is an update from the last week. I'm not going to go too far into this. 125,000 raised, almost 126,000 raised, over 1,000 backers, 37 hours to go. So again, link down in the description below to all of these. Feel free to check it out. This is a cool one. You get little patches and stuff like that, which is awesome. They're still working on a few stretch goals. In fact, they did recently unlock in between this one and the last one. The next one they actually have right here, where you'll get a free PDF copy of the extended version of the Mystic Masquerade Goblin Circus scenario. But really, one of the interesting things here, let's keep scrolling down, a lot of add-ons that they have here. You'll see here that they unlocked the full-length one-shot scenario based on the original quest hook from the complete gamebook quick start rules. You can see here that they unlocked the Boys Are Gross one-shot, so you can go ahead and check that out as well. That seems like a lot of fun. All right, next up we have Historica Arcanum, Era of the Crusades for 5e. This is at 141,000 now, 1,100 backers, 30 days to go. This just launched. It's got projects we love. It is awesome. The art looks amazing to me. I love the art of this one. So this is like really back in the day, and they have all these like crusades and stuff like that. So 2 grand source books, Era of the Crusades, the Setting Guide, and the Sigil of Jerusalem, a massive adventure module, 2 legendary cities, you got the Deck of the Damned, you got a vast library and subclasses and bestiary, Night Orders, massive gameplay package, collector's accessories, full soundtrack suite, you got it all. They got minis, they got fancy looking like shard dice stuff. They got a lot to offer here, and it looks really cool. It really does. It looks super professional, and again, I love the uniqueness of everything here. They do have some stretch goals, including new subclasses and professions and stuff like that. If you're looking at what you want to do here, PDF, 24 bucks. If you want the whole PDF thing, it'll be $39, and if you want the printed version of it all, plus some VTT support, $99, but you can go hardcore. In fact, they have a collector's box edition, which ends like very soon. So again, link in the description below. Hopefully that's still available for you guys. $199. I say that's pretty good because it's normally $229. So you're getting $30 off on the collector's set. And then they actually have an ultimate set if you want to get super fancy as well. So it just depends on how much you're willing to spend, how much you want to pimp out your gameplay. But it looks really cool, guys. Next up, Eat the Reich, polar opposite of what we just looked at here. The year is 1943. You are a team of crack vampire commandos with one mission. Drink all of Hitler's blood. I can't even say it with a straight face. 4,600 backers, $213,832 raised, still 22 days ago. This is crazy. Eat the Reich is a tabletop role-playing game in which you, a vampire commando, are coffin dropped into occupied Paris and must cut a bloody swath through Nazi forces en route to your ultimate goal, drinking all of Adolf Hitler's blood. This over-the-top, ultra-violent game is designed to be played from beginning to end in 1 to 3 sessions. It tells one story, it tells it loud, and it tells it brilliantly. Think Wolfenstein crossed with Danger 5. This is wild. You get a quick-to-learn D6 dice pool system, the Havoc engine, which is, I think, named rightly, and enemy reinforcement rules, pre-generated iconic characters, gruesome augmented Übermenschen, a non-accurate map of Paris to do lots of crazy stuff in. It's kind of wild. Now, they do have their stretch goals a little weird. Essentially, you're going to want to get the dossier if you want to get all of them. It depends on how they're kind of broken up. So you can see kind of more about your people here. For instance, you got Flint, who was born in a cave. He's half bat, half man, all nightmare, doesn't talk much or can't, and he refuses to wear trousers. So it's something. It's different, guys. It's different. They have a whole lot of stuff here for you. On the stretch goals, they have upgraded and then normal. Anything that's not upgraded is only for the dossier. So just know that going into it. But they're adding a whole bunch of little knickknacks and stuff like that. Again, patches, stickers, all that sort of stuff. The book, the PDF, $16. The book, $32. So not even that much. The dossier, about $64. So that's it. That's all you got to know about it. Everything else is there. If you want that, that's a thing for you. Link in the description below. Okay, next up we have The Secret Art of Game Mastery. This is an update from the last one. Now it's 255,000 raised from 3,471 backers. 15 days still to go. It's just a moderate increase from the last time, just showing that it is actually increasing though. They're doing a great job on that, and I still think that's a really cool one. Again, I covered that more in last week's video. They are still working on that stretch goal, 300,000 for the slipcase, but they are making their way there. I think they'll get it. So you get that cool slipcase, which is kind of awesome. All right, next up we have Shadow of the Weird Wizard. Again, this was one that I covered last time. Now at 302,000, so a lot. I mean, it's doing quite well at almost 3,000 backers. Again, very straightforward on what they're doing here. So I covered this earlier. They do have stretch goals. They are doing their unlocks, right? So they're just new stretch goals coming through, kind of your box standard stuff. All right, we also have Wildlands Reforged, hand-painted modular terrain. I covered this last time. Also, 515,931. It is increased a ton. It was at like 300,000 before. And again, there's nothing even new here. They're just offering awesome stuff. If you want in on this, if you want to pimp out your RPGs that are fantasy-based, this is definitely the best way you could possibly do it. If money's not an issue, it's expensive, but those are real pictures. That's what you'd be playing on. It's pretty cool. All right, next up we have Dolmenwood Tabletop RPG at 1.1 million. We are now at the $1 million club, 1 million plus. 8,481 backers are dealing with this. The lavishly detailed fantasy world inspired by the fairy tales and eerie folklore of the British Isles. So definitely a unique in this space. Doing very cool. And as you can see, you get some nice freebies as well. If you're looking for the digital version, $50 gives you a whole bunch of stuff. Standard, $95, again, gives you a whole bunch of stuff. And then, of course, you have the slipcase version for $125. It's okay. It's a little pricey, but you're getting a whole lot, too. There's not an option to, like, baby step your way into it. You either get it or you don't. All right, this is huge. Obojima, Tales from the Tall Grass, a 5e campaign setting at 1.5 million. 13,725 backers. This is something you're going to see like a lot of people dealing with. In fact, I believe there's even like 41 retailers backing right now. So if you go to the retail tier, you have 41 stores are even going to hold a lot of this. There's like 7,607 people are getting the PDF here. 2,000 are just getting the basic PDF. You get the starter pack at 1,200, the core box 1,300. So a ton of people are into this. What is this? This is Studio Ghibli meets The Legend of Zelda. And I know a lot of you guys just got really like, okay, yeah, I got to know more. So let's go into this. What is this? Obojima is a 250-page campaign setting inspired by the wondrous worlds featured in Studio Ghibli films in the beloved Legend of Zelda game series. So, they've unlocked the Tall Grass, which is a new campaign here. In Obojima Tales from the Tall Grass, you'll find pages and pages of rich lore, detailed maps, pre-generated characters, strange factions, unique locations, and much more, including a merchant cat and a vending machine wizard thing. Okay, potion and brewing, that's something to add here. Hunt for any of the 100 plus ingredients spread across the island and combine them to create custom potion recipes with over 180 potions to brew. So a lot of stuff there when it comes to the crafting that. Then they also have the corruption, which was the original, I believe, adventure that they were offering here. Will you explore the coast and delve below the water surface to uncover the cause of this dark affliction? The water's turning black and stuff like that. And yeah, they're definitely inspired by some Studio Ghibli on a lot of this kind of art, which is great. Player options. Play as an eclectic college of masks bard and craft versatile theater masks to help you in any situation. Sounds kind of like Majora's Mask in a bit. Breathe life into paper constructs and control the battlefield as an origami mage. Harness a potent magic that has slowly begun to infect Obojima as a corrupted ranger. That kind of dark water stuff going on there. Super cool to see all of that. They also have a whole bunch of creatures, in fact 60 plus new creatures. You can see if players can catch the elusive and playful sheep dragon on one of the islands, rolling hillsides, or stay hidden as the dangerous and cruel Uragama haunts the roads between villages. You can see these guys floating around. Again, it feels like you're in a Studio Ghibli or Legend of Zelda world with these islands, and then you got like these little demon things floating around and a sheep dragon, and you're an origami like mage, and it seems really cool to me. They have a big thing on their two artists here, and they do really well there. PDF is $30, or if you want the book in PDF, it's $60. If you want the starter pack, which I wish the starter pack came with even like the DM screen. In fact, the DM screen's like really high. We'll show that. $85 there, and that gets you some art prints and stuff as well. The core box gives you a whole bunch. Sadly, the core box, again, does not have a DM screen. I think that's kind of weird. But you do get a vending machine dice set. So you get those potion ingredient decks and stuff like that as well. For $290, so we're getting high up there now. You get the deluxe box with pins and stuff like that. And finally, the DM screen. And the $290, I don't agree with that. I think this looks cool. I would have organized this a bit different. And then the all-in at $360 also gets you like stickers and a whole bunch of other stuff. So anyway, yeah, again, very much reminiscent of Studio Ghibli stuff here. Very, very cool. And as you can see, they've been unlocking a lot of the stuff that's covered. They've been unlocking. So they're going to keep doing that. In fact, they're going to do a Spirit Dice upgrade here soon, because I'm sure they're going to get to 1.6 million very quickly. Okay, what's coming up? The Magnus Archives role-playing game. This is kind of odd. What this is it's based off of a podcast. The Magnus Archives role-playing game is built on the well-loved Cypher Systems mechanic. The rules are specifically tailored to reflect the horror and the action of the Magnus Archives stories, with the effects and fear, stress taking a toll on characters, but also unlocking access to mysterious supernatural abilities. So that'll be launching soon for crowdfunding, so you can go ahead and take a look at that, and you get a cassette tape that you won't be able to play. So woohoo on that. And then finally, Assassin's Creed, the role-playing game. I covered this last time, but there's new information. One of them being that it'll be available to pre-order September 5th, so coming up here very soon. And right here it says Assassin's Creed RPG uses a match system, which is an original set of rules using 2 sets of 6 custom dice, also available as a digital dice roller on the official and free RPG app. So it's really cool that they're really kind of supporting a lot of that, which is neat. Players won't be playing as single characters, by the way. Most likely, well, they'll play several different ones across different sessions as they explore different events in the past. You can see here, you can have like ancestors down here and whatnot. And yes, very custom dice when it comes to that. So they're more symbol based than like a count. To add a bit more here, they also have the quick start rules available for free in the app. You can access that. Again, all of that down in the description below. Guys, I need a drink. That was a ton. My goodness, our TTRPG's on fire right now. There's some crazy good looking ones here. Multiple at over $1 million. I mean, they're doing very well. Some beautiful artwork in those, some fantastic and interesting settings. I'm super pumped for a lot of these because I just think they sound so cool. I love collecting a lot of these. I think I'm going to start doing that more. I just read them and I get inspired for like either own stories that I'm thinking of and stuff like that. I'm working on a few things behind the scenes perhaps. But look, guys, if there's anything you're super interested in that was here, let me know. I can focus on it a bit more. Or if something's coming up you want people to know about, let us all know in the comments below. If you appreciated this video, if it helped you, guide you through all of these options on what is good for you and your game group, feel free to like the video. I appreciate that a lot. Stay tuned. Subscribe for more of this. I'm going to be doing another one next week, of course, so more to come on that. I might even dive into some retail stuff, so let me know if that's something of interest to you. Guys, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye, guys.